Roxo Media House.
Third down now, 3rd and 7. Snap comes, handoff goes, right-hand side is DeMaccardo. Down he goes to the 23, so you got to get your field goal unit out, 15 seconds. Plenty of time, take your time, fellas. You're at 10, relax. You're at 9, Griffin Kale. 41-yard effort, middle of the field for the win. Snap, hold, kick Griffin Kale, planning on it, and Griffin Kale has nailed it. Wow! How about that, boys? The Frogs survive here.
You are in the State of the Frogs, presented by the Railhead Smokehouse with TCU head coach Sonny Dykes. And also brought to you by Hub Fort Worth, Old Trapper Beef Jerky, Texas Health Resources, and by Cadillac. Now with the coach, here is the voice of the Frogs, Brian Esterich.
Welcome into State of the Frogs for this week as the Horned Frogs roll up another victory on the road, this time a one-pointer down in Waco. Frogs take care of the Baylor Bears now to go to 11-0 on the season. We have said this before. We will say it again as the head coach Sonny Dykes joins us from his office, just like you drew it up, right? That's how you expected it to finish.
Yeah, just like we drew it up, yeah. Bunch of events, played out the way they needed to for us to have a chance to win the game. Got to give our players a lot of credit. They did what they had to do, and that's kind of what we've done this year. It hadn't always been pretty, but we found ways to win, and thought we did that better than we have at any point on Saturday. We had to get a stop on defense. We had all 3 timeouts. Fortunately, we hadn't spent any of those, so we got the ball back and pretty quickly and strung together a drive, missing some good players. We didn't have some of our better players out there, but Max did such a great job of managing everything, and our guys were just so calm. We were talking about this earlier. We just spend so much time on 2-minute offense and preparing for those situations where our guys have done it a million times, and they did what they do in practice all the time. And there was some conversation about how do we want to handle that last 3-play sequence. Did we want to run it, clock it? Did we want to run it, clock it? Did we want to throw it on first down? So all these different scenarios were kind of playing out, and we kind of decided to do it the way we did, and had a lot of confidence in our players, and that Griff can go out there and nail the kick. So, it played out the way it needed to for us to have a chance to win. Really proud of our guys, and obviously a big win for us.
Yeah, to me, the biggest thing was what you mentioned early on, and people have lost sight of this, is the fact that you were able to preserve those 3 timeouts earlier. Because, there was a chance on that previous drive where you were going to have to burn a couple. Yeah.
We got into a situation where defensively we almost needed to use one, and it just felt like it was really important to maintain those things. So we did, and we were fortunate to be able to have all 3 of them because we needed it. We needed every second, and fortunately it worked out the way it did.
You kicked it deep, too, to them, by the way. They had their hands team out there. There was an animated conversation going on between you and Coach Tom Riddall, and I was curious, was there a potential talk of onsiding that?
No, not at all. I mean, we were talking about different kinds of kicks. There was some possibilities about us trying to pop kick it, and we just felt like field position was going to be really important. So that's when we decided to go ahead and kick it deep. And, we wanted to try to pin them inside the 20-yard line if we could. Just because we had a lot of confidence our defense was going to get them stopped, and they did. And we got the ball back in pretty good field position, and were able to string together a drive and go kick the field goal.
All right, then you drive down, as you talked about, you kick that field goal. The play before that, though, you center the football.
Yep.
And that surprised some folks. You said it, and you talked about that post-game with us.
Yeah. The thing was, Griffin's more comfortable from the middle or the right hash, and so we were on the left hash, and we decided we wanted to hand it off. And there's a bunch of different ways to kind of accomplish that goal. You can throw it, which you may or may not complete it. You can, ball gets tipped, give up a sack. All these bad things can happen, and so. Again, we had a tremendous amount of confidence in Griffin. We had a tremendous amount of confidence that we could get our field goal unit out there in time to kick the kick. And, again, we've seen him make it a million times in practice. So, our deal was let's get the ball in the right middle, which we did, and he walked out there and kicked it.
The thing that kept going through my mind is that was progressing down the field was you emphasizing the patience that Garrett Riley has shown as offensive coordinator. Even late in that game, I thought he was patient in his play call.
He was. Yeah, he was. I mean, it's the first thoughts always drop back and throw it deep and try to get all these yards. Well, a bunch of bad things can happen. And, I had a chance to watch some NFL games last night when I got home, or a game last night. And, those things happen. End of ball games, and all of a sudden you don't have much time, and quarterback's trying to force the ball down the field. A lot of times guys throw interceptions or you get sacked, and bad things happen. And, we had a minute 40, I think was what we ended up with. And, that's forever in college football. The clock stops, when you make a first down. And so our thought was, let's just try to be patient. We're going to have to hit a couple of passes here and there. Max made a really nice throw to Savion, who made a really nice catch one time, and then he made a heck of a run to get to move the chains as well. So, we had to do some things to get the drive going, but once we kind of got down to their side of the field, then really it was all about trying to manage the clock.
Yeah. By the way, we would be remiss if we didn't mention the game plan that Baylor had offensively. I thought they were pretty solid throughout the day.
Yeah, they did a good job. I mean, the strength of our defense really is our speed and our ability to run to the football, and I think that obviously showed the week before against Texas. Texas showed us a lot of full flow, and our guys were really running to the ball. And Baylor came in and ran a bunch of counter stuff and did a good job of false keying us on a bunch of different things and showing us something one way and coming back the other. And it's a little bit of what they do offensively, but they had a couple of new wrinkles and concepts that really slowed our linebackers down. And so those guys had to slow down. We had to slow down our defensive ends on the back side. And when that happens now, all of a sudden, the stretch play or the jet sweep and those things are happening faster. Or you're not getting people over there because those guys are playing slow and they can outnumber you at the point of attack. And so they did a good job of mix bagging us a little bit, but they got good coaches, and thought Joe did a good job of making some adjustments, and our guys figured it out.
Yeah, usually when you talk about third down success that an opponent has, and you have over 200 yards on third down like they did, you think it's going to be a tough day.
Yeah,
when that
for
happens.
sure. Yeah, we gave up a couple of long passes on third down. I mean, they hit us on a play that I thought was a little bit of a rub route, and and had a long gainer on third down a couple of times when they caught us in man coverage. So, yeah, I mean, they got the bulk of those yards on a couple of plays, but they did a nice job. I mean, they did a good job of being patient, moving the ball. That's kind of what they want to do. I mean, we only had 4 possessions in the first half. Well, I think we only ran 21 plays on offense, and so they took the ball away from us. They had it over almost 21 minutes. We only had it for 9, and that was their game plan. To try to grind it out, keep the ball away from our offense, and play good defense. And they did a nice job of doing it.
By the way, your team, talking about adjustments in that second half, much better on third down, especially late. You converted 3 in a row to keep drives alive, 2 of them.
Yeah, we had to get better on third down, and we struggled a little bit during the game. On both sides, really getting off the field and also keeping drives alive. And at the end of the game, obviously, that's when you have to make those plays. And our defense got off the field on that 3 and out, and we were able to get the ball back and convert and move it down the field.
All right, let's take a look at the scoring from this one. The Horned Frogs and the Baylor Bears for the 118th time in Waco. And Baylor, an impressive drive to start here. 11 plays to go 78 yards to go up 7-0 here on this run from Jones, who was one of 3 backs we saw on the day, by the way.
Yeah, they have good backs. And we thought coming into the game those guys were good players. They're one-cut running backs. They ran up in there. They got a big offensive line, a lot of experience with that group. And so it's they're a tough team to stop in the run game, and they do a lot of different things. They're going to show you stretch, as I said, and they'll boot off of it and play action some, and they really do a good job of keeping you honest.
Yeah, Frogs answer with this drive here culminates in a Max Duggan 7-yard run. This was a 7-play, 72-yard drive. Tied it at 7. Good to kind of answer them early on there.
Yeah, it was. Thought we started well on offense, and guys were clicking and. Made a couple of big plays during that drive to allow us to get in the end zone. Yeah,
Baylor scores again on a 2-yard run. And then Kentre finds the end zone here in the second quarter to tie this one up at 14.
Yeah, this was a heck of a run by Kentre. Good job up front, guys blocking and coming off the ball. And, Baylor's tough in red zones. One of the things we talked about last week was how important it was going to be for us to execute in the red zone, and I thought we did a good job of it.
Kentre, not 100% on the day, but kind of fought through it, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he got a little banged up right at the beginning of the third quarter, and he ran really, really hard and had to fight through some stuff to be able to play. But, Kendre's always going to go out and give you his best. And, man, when he's got his hands on the ball, he's certainly good.
All right, halfway through the second quarter, Frogs get on the board again. This is your first lead of the game, and a guy who just makes plays when he's out there. Gunnar Henderson on this reception.
Yeah, it was good to see Gunnar get this. We were going fast on this particular play. We got lined up, and typically when we go fast, we'll throw a screen, and this was a fake screen and go. And great execution by Max, and again, all begin with protection up front and a good call by Garrett.
Yeah, then back-to-back scores here for Baylor. Coach, you only led in this game 5 minutes and 40 seconds total.
Yeah, it wasn't long. Yeah, it was a struggle, man. It really was. It was, we went ahead at this point, and then Baylor came back and answered pretty quickly, and then took the lead again from us. And so our guys just had to keep their head down and keep playing, and keep believing, and they did a good job of doing that.
Yeah, Johnson, the tight end there on that receiving end of that first touchdown. By the way, that's his second touchdown. Ran one in earlier. You got some big boys at tight end, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They got some big guys, and they do a good job of utilizing them, getting the ball to them, and they got a good scheme on offense. Like I said, they keep you off balance, never let you get too settled in.
Then with 2:07 to go in the fourth, you get in the end zone here. Amari DiMaccardo's able to score on this one. You go for two, and this one just off the fingertips of Amari.
Yeah, heck of a run by Amari on the touchdown, and then this is one of those 2-point plays that actually we've been working on since August, and so it's something our guys have run a million times, and you know how it is. Sometimes it gets executed, and sometimes it doesn't, and we had him open. And it was a little tough throw, and Amari normally makes that catch, but he didn't in this situation. But I think the key thing was our guys didn't panic. I think we knew at that point, look, there's still a lot of time left. We've got 3 timeouts, and let's just make sure we manage this the right way and give ourselves a chance to win.
Yeah, you get the defensive stop. Then in a minute 34, you take over. One of the key plays, by the way, in this last drive was Max Duggan able to sprint to the sideline, too.
Yeah. Max getting out of bounds here is a really, really important play. I mean, he scrambles here, and Max is such a smart player and always aware of the situation. And this was big, getting out of bounds, and that saved us a bunch of valuable seconds.
All right, then you clock it, and then now the field goal attempt, and you see it's called bazooka. You told us that afterwards, guys sprinting on the field. They knew exactly where to go, and you can see the kicker, Griffin Kale, sort of lagging behind, lining himself up. He knew he wasn't going to have time for the steps, right?
Yeah, and I think I heard Griffin was over at the net kicking, and so it all happened probably a little sooner than he expected, and there he was out there. And the great thing about it was he's done it a million times, and we do it all the time in practice, and he's just got a real confidence about his ability to go out and execute that kick.
Yeah, and by the way, good job too, Jordy. You see there was kind of lining guys up at the very end, making sure everybody was where they needed to be.
Yeah. One of the things we talk about all the time, and we show our team, plays in college football on Friday night at the hotel, and we go through all these different situations and talk through mistakes and things that teams have done well to allow them to win games. And one of the things we talk about all the time is the last-second field goal. In that situation, if you have a false start or whatever, there's a 10-second runoff. Well, that's the end of the game. So Jordy did a great job of making sure everybody was set, everybody was lined up, there was no hurry. We normally snap the ball with about 3 seconds left on the clock. That's exactly what he did, so that we make sure we can get it off, and Griffin nailed it. So, those guys have, as I said, they've done it a million times, and it's fun when you see a plan come together for sure.
Is he counting that in his head, or is Jordy taking a peek at the clock?
Yeah, no, he's taking a peek at the clock, and then kind of he's going to know at about 5 seconds. That's when he's going to turn and look to Griffin and kind of make sure Griffin's set. And then the idea is to get the ball snapped with about 3. And so, just because you don't want to cut it too close. And, started with a great snap by Brett, and then, got it down, and here we go.
Sometimes, Griffin said post-game, sometimes it's okay if you don't have to think about it and you just run out and kick it.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And, again, especially when it's something that you've done before. I think that's the thing that from talking to people, it's like, I can't believe you guys figured that out and all this. And I'm like, man, we've done this a million times. And so it was – I think our guys were really comfortable doing it. I think that it played out the way it should have. And, it's hard for kickers sometimes. I mean, if we end up spiking it there on 3rd down, well, more than likely Baylor's going to start using their timeouts to ice the kicker, and all these different things are going to happen. And so I think sometimes, man, just go out there and kick the ball. And Griffin had a lot of confidence in him. Our team did. I mean, all our guys on the sideline were like, they knew he was going to make it, and he did, and here we go.
All right, good deal. The Horned Frogs get that 1-point victory in the 118th meeting between TCU and Baylor. 11 wins on the season now for the Horned Frogs. Coach is going to be by a little bit later on. We'll look ahead to Iowa State when State of the Frogs continues here in a moment.
The Hub Fort Worth family is a passionate, energetic team of insurance professionals that have the same common goal in mind: helping businesses and individuals protect their health, property, and financial well-being. Their objective is to maximize the options available to businesses, families, and individuals while helping you make the choices that suit each unique situation and challenge. Their clients look to them for guidance in navigating the cumbersome world of insurance and investments. Their experience and personal relationships combined with their creativity enables them to craft solutions that fit your specific circumstances. Their guiding principle is, don't tell me how much you know, just show me how much you care. Since their founding in 1966, they've enhanced their offerings to include a comprehensive range of services, including employee benefits, property and casualty, and personal lines insurance. Follow them and learn more on their social media pages. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Hub Fort Worth.
Old Trapper Beefs. One-upping.
I love Old Trapper. I love how tender it is. Don't forget the wood smoke flavor. Savory beef. Quality ingredients. I'm their biggest fan.
Old Trapper, what's your beef?
For exclusive interviews and content on TCU recruits, subscribe now at frogstoday.com. Any sport, anytime. It's your source for all things TCU. Only on frogstoday.com. All right, welcome back into State of the Frogs. Time for our What's Your Beef question of the week. It's brought to us by our friends at Old Trapper. All right, Coach, let's listen in right now.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Rose. I'm from Boerne, Texas, and I know you stay super busy with football, so what do you do in your free time to unwind?
All right, Jennifer from Boerne says, what do you do in your off time? Not a lot of that right now for you, I would suspect.
Yeah, we don't have a lot, but, Monday morning I usually take my kids to school. Kate and I will drive the kids to school, and then we get a cup of coffee and share a cup of coffee, which is kind of a big deal. And then we come into the office and get to work, and and then it's pretty busy from that point on. And then Thursday, we get home a little bit early. Our coaches get out of the office relatively early, so try to be home and around the kids. And then once we get them to bed, Kate and I usually try to go eat dinner someplace on Thursday night. That's kind of our date night, and then the rest of it's pretty much taken up during football season. So I get to have a cup of coffee on Monday morning, get to drive them to work. Or to school rather, and then on Thursday, like I said, maybe a meal, and that's about the extent of it.
She does do a great job too, having them come up to the office on occasion too.
Yeah. Kate's around a lot, around our players, and when my kids have a break, which they will this week with having Thanksgiving break, they'll be around the office, and so it's good for me to have a chance to see them then for sure.
All right, there you go. That's your Old Trapper. What's your beef? Our one-play breakdown with Coach David Bowden is next when we continue with State of the Frogs.
Old Trapper Beefs. One-upping.
I love Old Trapper. I love how tender it is. Don't forget the wood smoke flavor. Savory beef. Quality ingredients. I'm their biggest fan.
Old Trapper, what's your beef?
Simply the best barbecue in Fort Worth. Dine in, catering, or drive-through. 2900 Montgomery, just off I-30. Remember, the best barbecue in Fort Worth is at Railhead Smokehouse.
T-Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student-athletes. Flying T-Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T-Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student-athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student-athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T-Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
Texas-based Happy Water offers the best-tasting, sugar-free kids drink ever made. Happy Water comes in 4 delicious flavors that you can find at local retailers and on Amazon. Each pouch contains 0 grams of sugar, 0 calories, and 0% juice. Head to happydrinks.com for more information and to purchase Happy Water. That's HAPI drinks.com. Live happy, be happy, drink happy.
Welcome back into State of the Frogs here in Coach Dykes' office. Time for our one-play breakdown right now. For that, we turn back to the Flying T-Club studios. Coach David Bowden is there. I wasn't going to let you off the hook. I was going to have to get you to explain that last sequence of events that leads to the game-winning field goal, of course, from Griffin Kale. Coach Bowden, I want you to walk us through this, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Brian, it really started back when they made a decision to kick the ball deep. If you looked over there, there was Coach Sonny Dykes. There was Jeff Jordan, who's really manages the analytics part of the game, and special teams coordinator Mark Tomadol. They huddled together, made the decision to kick the ball deep, and Coach Dykes knew that he had trust in his defense. He still had 3 timeouts at that point, and he trusted that defense to get a stop, and they certainly did. So at that point, the ball got punted back to the Frogs, and they took over. And really, they talked after the game about the mentality of playing for a field goal as opposed to having to play for a touchdown. Really, in those situations, you lose games more often than you win them, meaning by mistake. So anytime you go into a 2-minute drill, overtime, that sort of thing, it's sacks and penalties that hurt you and really lose you the football game. So in this case, they took the ball down the field. They were able to run it and pass, keep the defense honest, and then move the change, which stopped the clock. There was also a key play for Max Duggan on that second down where he sprinted and then dove out of bounds to stop the clock, preserve some really precious time. And then they were able to go to Amari DiMercato on a run to set the ball up towards the middle of the field. They end up in the right middle, which is really lined up on the right upright. And they know that's where Griffin Cale is more comfortable. And so that's what they went to on the third down. I want to jump and take a look at that right now. So as we look here, it's 3rd and 7 now. 3rd and 7 with 21 seconds to go on the clock. The ball is handed to Amari. The only thing I found interesting was on the backside. They didn't block this backside. Normally that's a read, but I don't think they wanted Max to keep it. It was going to be a give all the way. So Max just had to hold this backside because they wanted to get the ball over here to the middle, or like I said, ended up being on the right middle where Griffin Cale was comfortable. So they did a nice job. Amari does a nice job protecting the football, getting forward, getting some extra yards. So now this is where sort of magic happens at this point. So it's now 16 seconds and counting. And really like clockwork, you see everyone hustling off the field. And this is what they referred to as the bazooka kick. So it's their version of the emergency field goal practice every Thursday. They practice it a bunch during 2-minute during football camp. And then they come here and do it, every Thursday during the season. And so really there was no panic. After the game, Coach Dykes talked about it being looking chaotic, but not for them. So you see Griffin Cale come on late here. The reason he comes on late is because typically if he had the time, he would step this off 3 steps backwards this way, and then 2 steps over here to his left to line up the kick. He doesn't have time for that. So with him being the last one on the field, he's able to eyeball the holder, Jordy Sandy. He eyeballs there so he can get his spot. At 5 seconds is when Jordy looks back to confirm with Griffin that he's set. And then they want to snap this thing with about 3 seconds on the clock to give them enough time. One scheme thing to note, this is really about the operation. But the last thing I want to get into is, against the University of Texas the week prior, they had a field goal blocked, over here. And what they did was this wing, Carter Ware actually worked outside, and they were able to leap through this path right here. They did a nice job closing that down this week and take care of that. Robbie Rochester was playing left tight end. So he squeezed this thing down. He's supposed to rock inside. So they got a really tough job. He's got to be powerful enough inside and make sure they take care of that, and then rock back outside and just get a piece of whatever's out there. Did a nice job in protection, the snap, the hold, and of course, the kick was good. You can kind of see it here. With 5 seconds, he checks. The ball snapped really just over 3, and he drills it down the middle, and the Frog win a big one against a rival down in Waco.
Thank you much, Coach David Bowden, breaking it down to the Flying T Club Studios. Our one-play breakdown there. Frogs win it for their 11th of the year. Turn our attention to Iowa State. Cyclones are in town next for the Horned Frogs on Saturday at 3. The head coach, Sonny Dykes, rejoins us here when we continue with State of the Frogs after this timeout.
Simply the best barbecue in Fort Worth. Dine in, catering, or drive-through. 2900 Montgomery, just off I-30. Remember, the best barbecue in Fort Worth is at Railhead Smokehouse. Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
Old Trapper Beefs. One upping.
I love Old Trapper. I love how tender it is. Don't forget the wood smoke flavor. Savory beef. Quality ingredients. I'm their biggest fan.
Old Trapper. What's your beef?
State of the Frogs rolls on here live from Coach Dykes' office as TCU now turns their attention to that final home game of the season, coming up at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Iowa State Cyclones come to town. They're 4-7 overall, have one league win. First, so, Coach, it's senior day, which has changed over the years now with the transfer portal and things of that, and COVID, and it's hard to determine who's a senior and who's not, I know, but it's still an emotional day for guys, isn't it?
Oh, it is for sure. I mean, you think about, especially these players. I mean, they've been through a lot. And so it's a big day. I mean, it's a big day for their families and for their friends, and a chance for them to get recognized. And I think a big opportunity to reflect during the week as well, and just think about their experience here at TCU. And they've had a great run here. It's been a fun season, and I know the guys are going to want to end it by going out and playing well.
Yeah, we talk about how hard it is to be sentimental sometimes as a coach, but I wonder if you'll always remember this group as your first one here at TCU.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty memorable group. I mean, just the way that these guys have jumped on board and what they've done, and just the great mental fortitude and that they've shown this year. Because, I mean, it hadn't been easy. None of this has been easy. Coaching changes are hard. All that stuff is very difficult, and this group's just handled it remarkably well. And so I'm just really, really appreciative of what they've done and how they've handled it, and love this group, man. There's some really special kids as part of this team.
And one of the things you talked about after the game the other night is you went in the locker room, the first thing you did was just thank the players, you said, right?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I just thanked them for what they've done and the way that they care about each other and sacrifice for each other, and just fun group to be around. I mean, they just love each other, and it's fun when you have a team like that where everybody has a tremendous amount of respect for each other. And the locker room is made up of so many different kinds of people and from different backgrounds, and it's one of the most unique groups in the world as a college football team, just because there's people from everywhere and every walk of life and every situation. And so it's fun for them to learn about each other, to get to know each other, and to really respect different viewpoints and where people came from. And so it's just this is a really special team, because at the end of the day there is a lot of respect for each other, and the guys like each other, like I said, really care about each other.
All right, let's turn our attention to Iowa State. Matt Campbell's team, 4-7 overall. You could kind of give Matt Campbell credit for the change in defenses in the Big 12 of the last 4 years, right?
Yeah, they run a similar style of defense that we do. It's an odd front. They're going to show you a lot of different looks. It's hard to know what they're playing coverage-wise on the back end. And it's kind of like us, where you look at it and you say, well, you got a bubble here. We're going to run these bubbles, and then you do it, and all of a sudden guys start showing up from different places. And so it's a very, very difficult defense to prepare for. Luckily we see it quite a bit, in practice, and they'll have the same experience of seeing playing against us, and they have seen it every day in practice, because we're very similar. Not exactly the same, but very similar in what we're doing. So it'll be a big challenge. I mean, they really play hard. They're very active up front. They've got great speed at defensive end position. Really, really good rushers. And just really active. I mean, that's the biggest thing. When you just watch the guys, they run to the ball, they leverage the ball correctly, they know what they're doing. They got DBs that can run and tackle on the back end, and so it's challenging to move the ball. Nobody really does it. I think they've only given up more than 20 points 3 times this year. So their defense is just really, really impressive, and right now it's statistically the best defense in the Big 12.
Offensively, no one was hurt more than them by graduation and transfer. They lose a quarterback, a running back, a tight end, a couple of wide receivers, a couple of offensive linemen. Devastated that offense for them.
Yeah, and they're starting to kind of put it together. I think week by week they look like they're a little bit more comfortable and starting to execute a little bit better. I mean, they've got some good players. I mean, we've got a receiver that I think is one of the best in the league. Got great speed, great ball skills. They do a good job of getting the ball as many different ways as they can. I think the quarterback's really starting to come into his own, starting to get more and more comfortable. Their passing game is improving every week. They do a good job running the football. They want to run it. That's what they want to do. They want to be physical up front, and their offensive line is big and tough, and they're going to come off the ball.
You mentioned, too, that they've been in tight games. They just haven't been fortunate in those tight games, which is what they were the last couple of years, but not this year.
Yeah, they have. I mean, they've had some bad luck and lost some games that they very well could have easily won. They missed a couple of field goals in some of those games and have had some things that just went against them. But they're a very capable football team. They had Texas on the ropes in Austin. I mean, they've had Oklahoma State on the ropes in Stillwater. I mean, they've played really, really, really good football, and it just hadn't bounced their way down the stretch. So our guys are going to have to be ready. This will be a huge challenge for us. I think our players know we're going to have to really have a great week of practice and go out and play our best football.
I was thinking about this, and you guys plan for everything. This is the first 3 o'clock kick we've had at home, I think. Anything different for that?
Not really. I think we'll change our meeting schedules and stuff just a little bit. We've had some night games. but this will be, I think, our first 3 o'clock kick at home, and so it'll be a little bit different schedule than what we're accustomed to. But our guys have done a pretty good job of adjusting to those things, and we had to do it this past week against Baylor. We had an early start, and we drove all the way to Waco, and so we had to speed things up a bit on Saturday morning. So they usually adjust pretty quickly.
All right, heading off looking for win number 12. Best of luck, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Sonny Dykes, head coach of the Horned Frogs here on State of the Frogs. We're back with you next week. Oh, by the way, I got to do one thing before we get out of here, Coach. It is Thanksgiving, obviously.
Yep.
We're coming off the Thanksgiving holiday. We're all thankful for certain things that stand out to us. What's top of mind for Sonny Dykes when it comes to Thanksgiving?
Well, I think, number one, thankful for my family. Just really blessed to have just a fantastic family, and my kids and wife are just such an important part of my life. And then really, honestly, to be here at TCU in Fort Worth, around these players every day and around the coaching staff that we have. I mean, I enjoy coming to work every day. I get to be around really people that are committed to each other and unselfish, and man, it's just a fun place to come work every day. So blessed to be here and to be a part of this program.
All right, there you have it, folks. We get ready for Iowa State coming up on Saturday at 3 o'clock. We'll have highlights here next week. We'll hope you'll join us for that. We're thankful for you for watching here. State of the Frogs from our friends at Frogs Today. Thanks for joining us. For the head coach, Sonny Dykes, I'm Brian Esther. See you next week.
Roxo Media House.